business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the pod.
Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. Every episode is an invitation, a reminder that business and life isn't just about profit. It's about purpose. It's about showing up with a servant's heart in every deal, every decision, every day. Today's guest, she's going to light you up. I get emotional here because people with adversity that smile, that are happy, we need more of them. I don't want people to go through adversity, but she's lit me up already and changed my day, and we haven't even started yet. But you'll also be motivated by her. You'll be challenged by her. And most importantly, you're going to walk away with the tools that inspire action, both in your life and the lives of others. Imagine impacting other people. Here's your homework today. Speaking of impact, I want you to think about who you're going to serve today, how you're going to serve yourself today. And it doesn't have to be a big impact. If even as small as an act of kindness or courage can change a game. So lean in, take notes. Let's discover how servant leadership in business can create ripple effects that last far beyond that bottom line. And quick shout out to my sponsor, Epic Impact, that 4-step storytelling framework that's transferred how I pitch, post, and podcast. If you're a coach, founder, or creative trying to connect with your audience and move them to action, this is your secret weapon. Engage, persuade, inspire, and close. I use it every day and it works incredible. AI alone can't tell your story, but paired with the proven Epic framework and your great story, it can move mountains. Grab your free Epic Impact Starter Kit at epicimpact.com and let's start changing lives today. And a quick shout out, my guest is part of this, is we just got announced as the top 20 small business marketing podcast in the world. And I'm blessed by you, audience, and my wonderful guests like I'm bringing on today. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, because we are making impact to all of us. Compound effect. With that being said, let's welcome our guest. Diana, welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart.
Thank you, Steve. Great to be here. Great to hear your announcements too. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And thank you for being part of it, because you're going to be definitely adding to it. You got a unique look. We talked about you're very open. Let's start how that unique look started.
Yeah, so in 2014, so that is, 11 years ago, I was starting my year of 40, and it's a milestone year. I was excited to plan what I was going to do that year, whether it was things with my kids, mission trips, things to serve. I was an executive of a company that I knew we were working to sell the company that year. And I was just working on my year. And 30 days into that, I got the call after a biopsy, Diana, you need to come into the office. And I was a new single mom, and moms out there, right? We are pretty independent and strong, right? So I went on my own to that office appointment and found out that I had a rare form of cancer near my eye, in the carbuncle, that little pink thing in the corner, and very rare, like a few hundred cases reported a year. And I needed to either travel 4 hours away from home to Miami to be treated at the #1 eye hospital in the world, or all the way to Philadelphia, which from Florida to Philly, that's a ways, at the #2 eye hospital in the world. And that started my journey. And initially it was a lot of surgery to remove the tumor up in my eyelid and along my nose. And because chemo and radiation were not proven treatments. And so I learned, quickly that I needed to let people help me, because my parents came to take care of my little boys because they were young, and went through all those surgeries, 4 months with my eye closed. And then thankfully after that season went 5 years cancer-free. So 2 eyes cancer-free for 5 years. And then I was good. I was thankful for that. In 2019, it came back again. And then in 2021, it came back again, but closer to my sinus area. So my care extended from Bascom Palmer Eye Hospital to the Sylvester Cancer Center down in Miami. And then we started to do additional treatments, like immunotherapy had proven to work in a lab to treat my type of tumor. So we were trying to be proactive and fight more. And that wasn't really working either. So I don't think I'll ever forget the call from my Dr. C, my ophthalmologist at Bascom Palmer. Diana, we've been fighting for your eye for 9 years, and we have to shift to fight for your life. Um, that makes you pause. And I was president of a company at that point in time, and I was glad I locked the door that day to have my virtual doctor's appointment. And I remember talking to him and saying, you know what? I can be thankful. I had nine extra years with two eyes, and I'm going to live past 50 with one. So let's do this. And so my unique look then came in April of 2023. Four surgeons operated on me to remove the tumor around my eye, my sinuses, and remove my eye and replace that with like a skin flap from my leg. And so that was an intense surgery and an intense healing process, but I am 2 years past that, and I'm still here. So this is good.
Amen. What's the prognosis for the future?
Well, every 3 months, I go for an MRI to scan and make sure that everything is still looking good. It's such a rare form of cancer, so it's not like we have a lot of studies to show, yeah, Diana, this is what's going to happen. So I'm just thankful. I have a great team that I work with, and every 3 months we get to visit and see what's happening.
Well, the great lesson from that first that I got from it was the team and your family and support.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to, well, you kind of were pushed into it, but because of what was happening. But even if you don't have cancer, you have something going on, get help.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, people out there, audience listening, look at what she's done. She's wonderful. She's beautiful, because it starts from the soul and the heart. And I love this. So people listening, and I hear this, I haven't had cancer. What can you tell me for resilience in my life? Which could be, I just lost $1 million contract. It could affect my business. What will you tell them?
Yeah. It's interesting when I think through the elements of resilience. I look back as I was writing, reflecting on my book and my story. People will look at me like, Diana, how do you still smile? Like, I would not be smiling. And I just kind of laugh like I just did. And I think that there's multiple things over my life, right? There's lots of things where things haven't gone well in my life. Tons of them, right? We all have them. But I remember, my faith has been important to me growing up. But when I was a freshman in college, I went to college to play basketball, and I tore my ACL, which is a season-ending injury, within a month of practice starting. And I was, at the time being forced to read Viktor Frankl's A Man's Search for Meaning. And it was great timing, but his quote around, no matter what happens to us, nobody can take or steal our freedom to choose how we respond. And that has been an element of just a key thing for me from that point of life forward, and tying to resilience. I don't have to be a victim. Bad things have happened, right? This isn't what I would have picked, right? But I still get to choose how I respond to it and how I navigate through it. I don't have to be a victim. And so if I lose a $1 million deal, or a job falls through, or something like that, okay. Okay. But I still don't have to choose to be a victim to that. It just means that's not it for this season, and I get to go figure out something else. And
That's a
that's
great
the
piece of
mindset
advice.
that I work to strive for. Bad things are going to happen.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
no,
the reality.
yeah. And the mindset of the victim ward is great that you said that, because, you know, it's crazy. You get that out of your head. I had to work on that myself. I do some affirmation, and I know what you're saying, and listening to you and looking at you and going, holy moly, Steve, if guy didn't call me back today, I have to call him tomorrow. Whoop-de-doo.
Okay.
What did Diana have to go through? And I will remember that. Audience, hope you do as well, because that's definitely a great lesson. The other thing, which is you're uniquely qualified to talk about this, being authentic in leadership, because you look unique and different, but you're still authentic. You're still not make, how do you do that? How do you, would you share that for others?
It's been being authentic and being real as a leader has been important to me, like prior to this, right? I started to read John Maxwell's work like years ago. Like I'm talking VHS time frame, right? I would buy the VHS series for my team. So that I don't know, that dates me a little bit.
You
Um,
look so young though, Diana. So
yeah,
keep
that
going.
that dates me. But I think some definite things from just listening to his studies, right, is remembering as a leader, it's not about me. Building trust takes time, and be real, like be honest when you mess up, because if you're not honest and you don't own it, everybody knows you messed up. So they're just seeing you as somebody that's too proud not to be real. And so those lessons have been impactful to me, not just as a leader, but also as a parent. I have two boys, and for a season, I'm a single mom of two boys. Guess what? I mess up as a parent too. And I need to apply that there and just say, you know what? I lost my cool yesterday. I apologize, right? I mean, it applies in all aspects of life of being authentic and real, not just when I'm at the workplace.
A great mindset because we're human, we're fallible. We will, me, you listening, will make mistakes or do something wrong or whatever. And I tell you, the humbleness is so powerful. Now, organizational health, what is that? Because you work with companies, and I love what you do because I've done some study on you. What is organizational health, and how does people achieve that that are listening?
That is a big word to define, right? I
Yeah,
think I'll kind of share personally how it became important to me as I was before my cancer diagnosis, so before 2014, I was um, shifted to a different role within on the executive team, and I was over operations, but I was always passionate about my people and my team and developing people. And then we were partially acquired, and the company that partially acquired looked at us and said, your team is not accountable. And we're like, what? And that started my dive to go, okay, what do they mean by that? And I spent time like traveling to understand different cultures of companies and the health of companies and how teams work together. And then I also had that complemented with team sports were a big part of my growing up years, and it very important to me in terms of how to be a team, right, and how to work together. And so I had these different contexts coming together, and also was studying Patrick Lencioni's work, particularly on the advantage about how, culture and organizational health can really be the difference maker because with the product and technology today, that's not really the differentiator, right? It's the culture, the health, how people treat each other. And so I just started to spend a lot of time in that area and work with our particular company and how we shifted that and how we became a team, right? And truly identified what our values are, how we treat each other, how we work together. And when we sold the company, unfortunately, that started to fade away because you get rolled up into a larger company. But I will still have like posts on LinkedIn or different things like that and have people come and say, Diana, that was the best place I ever worked. And I love that. Um, and how I help other companies with that is I don't come in just to work on organizational health or culture. I work to come in the door in a different way, right? Whether it's disc and communication workshops or helping the CEO with a leadership retreat and just get an understanding and get a pulse of what it's really like to work there,
yeah,
and help them to see what's happening. Because many times whether or not an organization is healthy, it's not always felt at the top, right? It's felt down at the working layer. And it comes out, right, when you do workshops or surveys and you realize, okay, we have some opportunity here. And I get you don't ever want to call somebody's baby ugly, right? And oftentimes their organization, right, is their baby. So it's not necessary. It's just so much work to be done in terms of how you phrase the opportunity versus, what you've done is awful, right?
Yeah.
It's more how we can raise the bar, right? And how we can be better.
I love how your approach to your service, what you do with your coaching is, because all those things you mentioned go right back to organizational health or culture, which you mentioned. Because when you're talking, I'm like, she's talking about culture. What a cool way of talking about culture, because it really is organizational wide. People
Yeah.
go, that culture, like board and CEO, they're great people, but there's crappy people down below and vice versa. I love that. And that's $1 million idea right there. I'm sure you've grown many companies. With regards to challenges at work and organizational health, how do you work with that?
Yeah. It depends on the topic, actually. So,
Okay.
but I would say different. I'm trying to think through some examples that I've gotten to work
That'd be
through.
great. Yeah.
One would be just working with a husband and wife team. Like they started as a small company, they started the company, grew it quickly over the years. And as the company grew, the intention of, the core values and how people treat each other wasn't expanding with the company, right? So it was losing some of its why, right, and purpose. And so I was just, honored to just get to spend time with them. And they were getting hit with all these things around, well, are you doing things around DEI? What are you doing around these popular topics? And they were like, but we don't get it, right? If we just live our values, right, we're addressing all of those topics. And I was like, yeah, but they're not written down, they're not trained, right? And so we've got to figure out how we operationalize this and create these as standards for the whole company to train and reinforce. And so that I think probably happens in multiple companies these days where you start small, but then you grow fast. And so you lose like your why the farther you get from the source of kind of the who's holding that initial culture. With other, companies that have been there for a while, I think we sometimes roll out, this is what our culture is, and these are our values, and they're there on the wall, and they look really pretty, but we're not reinforcing and rewarding how we live them out. And then people just kind of lose sight of it. And just working to go back into that and refresh and reframe and spend time with people and help them to see it. Because my ideal state, right? This is just me, but a great team, if you see some of those teams that win the Olympics together, right? We watched the Gators pull off, not necessarily the Olympics, but the NCAA basketball championship. They came from behind to win. That happened because that's a team that really knows how to work together. And I'm sure they have values that they work on together that they hold each other accountable for. And so, multiple examples like that of just the power of when you can work together and hold each other accountable.
I don't talk to many women about sports and business bridge. And you just nailed, because I totally believe that. I think kids are getting away from sports. We need to push them more back into it because they're great lessons for them to learn. You agree. I love that. So I'm glad you mentioned that because there is definitely a correlation. Let's talk about your book. Your title is unbelievable. I love the message, but what's the message? What were people going to get when they read the book?
I love the title too, but it ties well to me, like uniquely imperfect, right? Which we all have unique imperfections,
Mhm.
but those imperfections can also uniquely qualify us if we can move past the poor me and victim to how can I use this to help somebody else? And that's really the passion behind the book, right? We all have some type of unique imperfection that is going to allow us to add value to others. The book is set up in terms of sharing things about my story around my cancer journey, but each chapter closes with a reflection and an application question because it'd be a little boring just to read my story. But I want to tug your heart a little bit. I want to make you think, right, about how does this apply to me? And you may not have cancer, but the odds are you know somebody that does, or you have some other cancer. It may be anger, it may be greed, or just something you can't let go, right? We all have some type of adversity that we need to navigate through and that we're holding on to. The book also I have pictures in the book of, what my radiation machine looked like when I went the first day
Wow.
and what I looked like when I woke up from surgery. And that's there as a part of my authenticity or transparency. You don't often know what it's like to go do what I did. So I just, wanted to be open and share that because it helps you it's really hard to show empathy to somebody
Yeah.
going through something if you have no idea really what it's like. So,
Yeah. I love that. And the book is, and I'm going to disagree with you. I don't usually do this with a guest, but your story is inspiring. I mean, just listen to it as I'm listening to you. I told you, and when I get off this podcast, it's going to be on top of my mind when I have something not go right. I'm going to think about you, Diana. And audience, I would do that. If it's not that, other people that have gone through a lot, you don't have to go through it. And we talked about earlier, so we need to jump on it. Coming to the end here, you know what I love about you, even more than everything else you just said, is your volunteer work. How did that start? Because I love volunteering. Started
yeah.
that a year ago. It's been a game changer.
It has varied how I volunteered over my life, right? So in college it was Special Olympics, which I absolutely love that. Then it shifted to YMCA and coaching, basketball, or soccer. Um, Basketball, I much more prefer. It's inside and it's air conditioned in Florida, so I have a little bias there. And now I volunteer quite a bit within my church scenario. Um, but I have found no matter what role I play, serving is important. So even as a executive leader, I want to serve people. I'm okay to be the person that is helping pick up the trash if it's there on the ground, or oftentimes that's the way you build trust and rapport with the people that are new reporting to you is to serve them and is to help them. So I strive for serving just to be a part of what I do, but one of my favorite things to do is coffee and donuts at my church on Sundays. I do that. During my 7 weeks of radiation, they tried to take me off the schedule, and I was like, no, I want to serve, and as long as I can serve, I'm going to. And if anything, I'm going to prove to people that we just need to eliminate our excuses and why we can't serve, because we can show up for people.
And I believe everybody has the soul in their heart to serve. It's if you let it out or not. And you're a sister from another mother. I know people laugh because I say this because I serve coffee at my church once or twice a month. It's the best time of the week. I
Yeah.
love that you said that. And audience, it's simple. It doesn't have to be a church, soup kitchen. Like I said earlier, it can be a simple act of kindness with somebody. I love that you did this. Let's get to know you a little bit deeper. I'll ask you a fun question. So I've got a
Okay.
reservation at a restaurant. I called a restaurant, got a table for you, a table of four. You're sitting in one of the chairs. In those three empty chairs, whether they're dead or alive, who would you invite that you want to talk to? And what kind of food would you order?
I have how many empty chairs?
Three empty
Three.
chairs,
Three empty chairs. Okay. All right. This is a good question. Let's see. And I can go dead or alive,
dead
right?
or alive.
Okay. Um, Dead, I would want my grandmother there. She has been in heaven for multiple years, but we got a chapter in my book about my grandmother. And she was my example of Jesus on earth and just resilience and just believe the best in everybody. So I would want her at the table. Um, I would take Jesus at the table too, because whether you're a person or faith or not, still an incredible leader, and incredible lessons there. And I'm always amazed by how he used questions to diffuse or understand more. Like it's just, I love that and wish I could do more of that. And I have one more person at the table. Let's see. I would, this might be an interesting, controversial one. I would put our current president at the table. Just because I think that anybody that is in that seat has the opportunity to be a humble, authentic leader. And I would want to ask some questions. Now we get to the food I would order.
Yeah.
My favorite food is pizza, so I would want to be at a gourmet pizza place, and
Right.
we would have a variety of good, creative pizzas.
I love asking this question because right away I'm thinking Jesus and Donald Trump. Jesus asking him questions. It would be. I mean, you just opened up a whole movie that we could do. We're
I
not going to
know,
even do
right? I
that.
wasn't trying to be political with that either, but I was just like,
No,
that
no,
just so
it's.
intrigues me.
I agree. It's intriguing. Intriguing people are. They're intriguing. We want to hear from them. Whether we take their advice or not, that's not the whole
Yeah.
point. Just being intrigued. And Jesus, all right, just be. Talk about it. Especially. Well, we'll go into that. Diana, getting a little emotional because, as I told you before the show, I have talked to people like you who've gone through major adversity and smile and laugh and enjoy life, enjoy your boys. It's a true blessing. And I love you so much for that. And audience, I hope you love her as well, like I'm doing. She does a coaching program. If you got a business, reach out to her. I don't promote a lot of people a lot, but she's got the story. But with that being said, and again, thank you for being a wonderful guest. How can people reach out to you? Because I know people are going to want to reach out.
Yeah, I would love for that. I'm on LinkedIn, so you can easily find me on LinkedIn, Diana Fritz, or my website, which is grituiuq.com.
And we'll get the book there too, right? We'll find the book on the
Yes.
website.
Yes.
Great.
Yep. You can
Great.
get the book there.
And we'll have all that information in the show notes, so you'll have access, or you can reach out to me. I hope you do, because I'm going to make sure you talk to her. There's no obligation here. It's just I'm blessed being a host on a show like this because I get to feel before, during the show, and after the show, all this. Just reaching out to her and feeling the same thing, you'll be blessed. Diana, thank you once again. Audience, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I say this all the time. I love repeating it. These are gifts. And you're listening to this, and maybe you have a friend going through cancer. They need to hear what Diana's saying. Because you know what? They hear. You give them hope and inspiration. You gave them a gift. You've changed their life. You made the impact I started the show with. So subscribe, get these links, or other podcasts. Doesn't have to be mine. Any podcast, subscribe to it and get those links, because one of those might change somebody's life, and you'll be very happy that you did that. With that being said, me and Diana want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast, and we'll see you all on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.